Welcome to Love Light with Dr. Jean Marie Farish. Today, we'll show you how to use the spirit of love and self-worth to improve the connections with everyone else in your life. This program is your weekly gift, and it will keep on giving. You'll see. Now, here's your host, Dr. Jean Marie Farish.
Greetings and a hearty welcome, everyone. I hope you're all faring well. I'm Dr. Jean Marie, your Love Light host, coming to you, shining love light into your hearts and homes to inspire, uplift, and empower you to create a life you love. Many thanks to our worldwide listeners. Our show today, Placemaking, Grassroots Moments for Change with Edwin Linderkamp, is timely, encouraging, and empowering. So, how can we build inclusive, vibrant, and thriving communities where people feel connected, a sense of ownership, belonging, access to healthy and sustaining resources for the well-being of all? There's so much disconnection, isolation, and feelings of loneliness among the masses of people, the destruction of nature and wholesome places that inhibit our health, well-being, and care for others. There's a relevant, some quotes by James Howard Kunstler. Tradition evolves with time and place while holding strongly to certain formal, cultural, and personal principles. Nostalgia seeks the security of past forms without the inherent principles. And also, on top of the insult of destroying the geographic places we call home, the chain stores also destroy people's place in the order of daily life, including the duties, responsibilities, obligations, and ceremonies that prompt citizens to care for each other. And our amazing guest today, Edwin Linderkamp, is a placemaking visionary and communications professional specialized in digital marketing and content creation. As the social media coordinator at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, he has led an impactful strategy to reach new audiences. He secures grants and manages a team of digital media and photography interns and ambassadors. With expertise in analytics, event documentation, and partnership building, Edwin is an advocate for connecting and promoting the university's academic community. He serves on the City of Salisbury's Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, contributing to infrastructure planning and public events. Edwin's background includes work with cultural and educational nonprofits, a master's in urban management from Technical University in Berlin, Germany, and he's very organized, and he's presented at a Placemaking U.S. Salisbury Town Showcase webinar in collaboration with Ryan Smoller in March 2024, and he's in contact with several placemakers and was part of the Placemaking Week in Baltimore in June 2024. Edwin's work reflects a commitment to fostering inclusive and vibrant communities through innovation and communication and placemaking strategies. So now I welcome Edwin Linderkamp on our show today. Placemaking, Grassroots Moment for Change. Edwin, welcome to Love Light.
Thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
And thank you so much for being here on this innovative topic. And I'd like for you to share with our listeners a little bit about yourself and inspiration for your work.
So my inspiration for my work has really started when I was a child growing up. As a placemaker, essentially, in a small town near Heidelberg, Germany, where I used to just take over the streets with my friends, skateboarding, rollerblading, having all types of fun. There was especially one street where all the neighbors used to live, where all the children used to play together. We used to do things like host puppet shows, play table tennis, play basketball, all types of activities. and the parents used to be there at nighttime, enjoying a glass of wine and just chatting together on tables there. So that's always influenced me into essentially being a type of placemaker later on in my life when I moved to Santa Cruz, California, and continued the skateboarding there and taking over the streets there, including my front, the front of the house where I lived with my mom and my brother. My first experience really with it was in 2018 in 2008, when I worked on a concept for a multicultural farmers market in Berlin, Germany, in a somewhat rundown neighborhood at the time, with over 100 different ethnic nationalities represented there. And my job essentially was to go to about 6 different farmers markets, to draw sketches of those markets, and to document the markets with photography, writing down notes, and then to create a concept that would be a well fit for this concept in the neighborhood called Neukölln in Berlin, Germany, where essentially we won the design competition, the local design competition for this to be carried out. And ever since then, I felt like I'm a professional of it, and have just continued to be to follow the work of placemaking, and to work in placemaking in any way possible after that.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Edwin, can you highlight any worldwide issues that we're facing that really reinforces or inhibit community? Can you talk a little bit about connection, community, and the environment globally that we're all, concerned about and facing today?
Yeah, there are several issues. I would say one of the issues of this sort of global to local is often the issue of modernism, which has been the new form of planning in cities since the 60s, I believe. And modernism essentially was a type of form of architecture in the built environment, and planning our roads and everything else, based on a group of people who decided the usual town square, the usual street in European cities just was outdated. So we need progress, we need modernism, we need taller buildings, we need larger roads, wider avenues everywhere. And especially the United States has taken over a lot of that. Though, of course, a lot of that is being taken over in Asia, in China, and India as well, with a lot of that type of building and that type of infrastructure for there to be more and more cars on the roads in our cities. And on a local scale, placemaking is to create places that feel safe and that feel environmentally peaceful, and places where you just want to be. There are some places where you go there and you just feel like, oh, this feels so good to be there. And the other places, for example, a state highway, there are 2 major state highways that cut through the city of Salisbury, Maryland, where I live, where you just want to get away from there as quickly as possible. I think that, the effects of modernism is one of the biggest global issues that's related to placemaking.
Thank you so much. And of course, I'd love for you to elaborate more about the concept of placemaking, but can you talk a little bit about post-COVID, anything that you see, any effects of post-COVID as it relates to placemaking?
Yeah, post-COVID, I think there have been positive effects and negative effects. To start with the positive, I would say that actually some of it that has been good, because a lot of placemaking is based on the outdoors, though there can be really good indoor placemaking as well. actually, one funny example from Germany is that one of the things I saw in the news at one point is a cafe had seating outside, where people had these swim noodles, essentially, these big swim inflatables as hats so that they could social distance enough from each other.
Mhm.
And I think it's an example of what happened in the US too, which is that parklets started getting built on the streets in certain cities. And parklets are essentially uh, parking spaces on main streets or so that get converted into people being able to just sit to have dining outdoors essentially on parking spaces. And it also changed things for the positive that for outdoor dining, but also for open streets to be more common. One of the best open streets examples is an open streets in Jackson Heights, New York. Actually, it's a neighborhood that I used to live nearby. Um, and it was it's a very long road that goes through Jackson Heights where it's essentially become pedestrianized for a certain amounts of time in the day. And some people just weren't going outside of their homes anymore, even in a city like New York. But this brought them out, and it brought out a new way of living and a way of connecting with neighbors and just enjoying the street. And I think they have little market stands there and things to activate it. So that's the positive side. I guess the more negative side is especially that we've become very attuned to being at home and being with ourselves. And I think, like many things in certain towns that are planned in a certain way, in an urban sprawl type of way, like suburbs, where things are already fairly privatized, we're spending even more time indoors in a certain type of private isolation. And there's a kind of loneliness epidemic happening these days. So that is the side where I think there need to be certain placemaking types of interventions in order to improve that for our lives.
Great. And, I noticed there are lots of like vacant buildings, maybe offices that's gone out of business, vacant lots. And listening to some of your YouTube videos where you were speakers and other placemakers, it was interesting to see how they turn vacant lots or vacant buildings into really productive places for the community. And we'll, share about that shortly. But can you bring home the whole concept of grassroots? What role does this have in placemaking before we take a break?
Yeah, the role of grassroots is huge. I would say the grassroots that have especially taken place here in Salisbury, Maryland, and you already started speaking about empty lots, is especially by someone named Martin Hutchinson. He's the pastor at the Joy Community Church here, and he was in touch with the former mayor of the city of Salisbury, Jake Day, who is now the Maryland Secretary of Housing and Community Development, who presented about the idea of putting community gardens into empty lots. And Martin already had a lot in mind, which was in the northern Camden district of the city. So he just was all in, purchased the lot, and put in a community garden of about 20 beds, and got together all the different community members there. Some have less money than others. And he really did this for those who have less money to be able to garden their own vegetables there at a cheaper price than if they had to go to a supermarket. And he also had an elementary school, the Pinehurst Elementary School, come and visit and do some gardening field trips there, as well as having some reading nights there, having some summer events in this community garden. So he did all types of things for that one. And then kind of right up the street, past downtown from there, is the Newtown Community Garden, which was first a community center that was opened in a dilapidated house. And that became the next community garden that was opened. So that kind of shows that when you organize one project like this, that it leads to another project and then possibly to another project. And it's all done because for him, he just started working on it. And the children from a playground right next to it said, hey, what are you doing here? And how can we help?
Beautiful. Yes, I heard that on the video, and I was just so impressed because, the children, many of the youth get bored, get in trouble, and here the gardening project, the mentorship, it was really so inclusive for them and exciting for them to learn new things and use their creativity and really bring the community together. And I really loved hearing about that. But right now, and when we come back from break, I'd love for you to elaborate more about your leadership and the synergy of good leadership, what's required for that as we move into your principles for placemaking. But right now, it's time for a brief commercial break. So for our listeners, stay tuned for more on this fantastic topic, placemaking, grassroots moments for change, with placemaking visionary Edwin Linderkamp, communications professional specialized in digital marketing and content creation, social media coordinator at the University of Maryland, Eastern Shore. Stay tuned. We'll return shortly.
Announcing Dr. Jean Marie Farish's new book, Love Mastery Devotion Journal, 21-day weekly prompts and affirmations. This is the companion piece to Dr. Farish's best-selling book, Living in the Spirit of Love, Our Natural State of Being. Through the new book, we invite you to cultivate a lifestyle of love through daily devotional practices over a 21-day period, following 9 ingredients in the recipe of love. Love Mastery Devotion Journal, 21-day weekly prompts and affirmations is available on Amazon.com and Balboa Press.
Jean Marie Farish's Center for Conscious Loving, LLC, cultivates a lifestyle of love and wholehearted connections through personal growth, altruistic services, and speaking engagements. Resources include classes, workshops, life care coaching, and creative service projects with an emphasis on cultural arts. Visit the website at drjeanmariefarish-consciousloving.com. That's drjeanmariefarish-consciousloving.com, or click the link on the Love Light show page.
Best-selling authors international, news honors best-selling authors around the globe. Dr. Jean Marie Farish is featured in the newly released issue of Published magazine. To have first access to this treasured resource, go to publishedmagazine.com. Vicki Winterton and Dr. Jean Marie Farish have compiled a dynamic book, We're All in This Together, Embrace One Another, an anthology with 24 highly diverse co-authors who share how to spread the message of love, resilience, inclusivity, and compassion. This book is an invaluable source of uplifting, inspiring, and positive insights for spreading positivity in the world. We're all in this together. Embrace One Another is available on Amazon.com. Be sure to get your copy today. Follow Voice America at Facebook.com/Voice America for juicy updates from your favorite radio shows and podcasts.
You are tuned in to Love Light with Dr. Jean Marie Farish. Feel free to connect with our program through email or check out our links on Facebook. Reach Jean at Jean72Farish@yahoo.com. That's Jean72Farish@yahoo.com. And now, back to Love Light.
Welcome back. You've been listening to Love Light, Living in the Spirit of Love. And if you're just joining us, we are with Edwin Linderkamp, placemaking visionary, communications professional specialized in digital marketing and content creation. He's a social media coordinator at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. And we are delighted to have him to talk about these innovative ventures in placemaking. In our first segment, we talked about what placemaking is. Edwin gave some fantastic examples, but I'd like for you to talk a little bit more about good leadership. And I know you are a fantastic visionary leader. What is the synergy of good leadership, and who's involved in these grassroots efforts for placemaking?
Yeah, so since we're at the topic of leadership, I think the first thing to understand about placemaking is that it's a lifestyle, is the way I see it. Placemaking is really something that it's like something you become. It doesn't have to be that you are the planner, the placemaking planner of something huge like Project for Public Spaces, revitalization of downtown Detroit with campus marshes. It can be something as small as walking down your street, being in the front house, walking down your street, and smiling at your neighbor. Even that is placemaking. So for me, ever since I've known I'm a placemaker, I have incorporated in so many in all the things that I do currently. So at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, it's a historical Black college. I work a lot with students there mostly on documenting events and activities where we go to and photograph things, and we have a video group right now to do so. So another thing that I just did today actually is I spoke to students about the Home Depot Retool Your School Campus Improvement Grant today, and I presented to them 4 different places on campus that I find interesting to be sites that we could transform if we were to receive the grant money, which is between $40,000 and $150,000.
Mm.
And it was a vibrant discussion that we had. These are student leaders from the Imperial Court to the Student Government Association to something called the Campus Activities Board. And their input was just so valuable on what they want us to do, which two of their top choices were to bring back a barber shop where there used to be a barbershop before, but it essentially ran out of business because of a license issue for that. And number 2 was a place that it used to be a tennis court, and now it's just a kind of a big open public space that's fenced off. And it kind of is a place where when you walk in, you just want to get back out right away because of how it feels there. And there are some very basic picnic tables that were built there, but it's really a place where you think, like, who designed this in the end? And so they had ideas for possibly some skateboard infrastructure, because one of them used to see skateboarders there, and another person had an idea for there being an amphitheater, and for there to be some DJs, like student DJs there, and to just activate the space. And it's a nice, both of these are nice central places because they get a lot of foot traffic. So at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, that's what I do, is I communicate a lot with the students and the community there about how to improve the university. And at the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, where I'm a member, it's all about us speaking about what kind of bicycle infrastructure is needed that can be good, to increase biking, so for it to be a better experience for bikers, and a better experience for pedestrians, as well as traffic calming experiences. Because, like I've mentioned before, we have state highways in the city, and we have a lot of other very busy roads, and safety is always a concern for bikers and for pedestrians. So I participate in that and bring in examples from Berlin, Germany, where I used to live. And that's what I do there. And right now, I'm working with a organization called Zero, based in Florida. And their mission is essentially to provide affordable artist studios in vacant properties across the country, which is a big benefit for artists to have a temporary place to be in an artist studio, and also a big benefit for property owners for them to not have a vacant storefront. And so they're interested in doing so in Baltimore, Maryland, and in Salisbury as well. So I'm connecting them with someone who is the director of the arts, business, and culture department at the city. And and then, as you mentioned already, the Placemaking Town Showcase, I think, was a very big event where I brought together placemakers from 5 different sectors, like Martin Hutchinson, community gardens, and someone named Susan Holt, who is the committee chair of the Public Art Committee, who actually used to be a gallery director at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, to Matthias Pieplack, who is on the Green Team, a committee member of the City of Salisbury's Green Team, and someone else who runs the events at the city, and then the former director of transportation at the city. So that was a very big success. Ryan Smoller from Placemaking US was the co-organizer, and people like Ethan Kent, the founder of Placemaking X, was there. Phil Murick from Phil Murick LLC was there. Nate Storing, the co-executive director of Project for Public Spaces, attended. And it was a really good discussion that we had. And then I'm also currently working on a project which is for the Elizabeth Woodcock Playground in the city, which is a playground that's a very interesting space because it's basically a park that's about half an acre big, and it's in the middle of a lot of housing, but it's just kind of very underutilized. You almost never see anyone there. And the infrastructure that's there, like a basketball hoop without the net, or an old children's baseball little baseball field is there, and it's there's a big slide and a small slide that are just not really used because one of them is too big, one of them's kind of small. And just some swings and some barbecue grills that are being used sometimes, but there's an issue with the trash disposal of it. So I'm really eyeing this park right now because it connects 2 parts of the neighborhood, really the southern part of the Camden neighborhood and the northern part of the Camden neighborhood, where the northern part is more of an African-American population, and the southern part is more Caucasian population. So I think this park has a lot of potential in terms of placemaking to bring people together if it's activated properly.
And when I listened to your that video, could you give us the title, because I'm sure listeners may want to, listen to that really powerful video that with the team.
Yeah. So the title of it is the Salisbury Placemaking Town Showcase, and you'll find it on the YouTube channel from Placemaking US.
Yes, I found that so interesting, the collaboration, the connection, the advocacy, and each person, had their own ideas, but, they make it a reality in terms of the sharing and the advocacy. And, we all have our different expertise, and appreciating that, it makes it more expansive and inclusive. And I found that to be such an interesting showcase with all the expertise. And you're doing so much. Thanks for sharing these examples of creative projects. You have an eye to look for, what it's like. You can see the beauty of what can be created when you look at that blank space or that park or that vacant lot or vacant building. And I would really like to give a shout out to your students who are, for their ingenuity and their creativity and active participation in these ventures.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's it always comes down to that. Like, thanks for the shout out to the students, because placemaking is always not really about what do I want. It's really what do they and what do we want
Yes.
in a place. I think that's the most important thing to keep in mind. I was recently thinking about what one of the best places is in Salisbury, Maryland. Also, just to so that everyone knows, it's a city of about 33,000 people. It's the biggest city on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, which is a very rural area in Maryland. And it has all the big box stores. And so one of the best places really is the city park has a playground called Ben's Red Swings. And it's built in the honor of a son of two doctors who passed away. And something that you'll see at Ben's Red Swings, it's good because there's not much car traffic that you feel there. It's mostly just a parking lot nearby, but it feels very safe. And there's constantly parents and children all the time, even in the winter months. I've seen them there because I take my son there. And there's a sign there that says 9 months of planning, 11 committees, $250,000 in donations, 4,000 volunteers, 6 days of building, countless happy children. And I think that's so important.
Yes, you can make it happen. And I love your take on placemaking as a lifestyle. And Edwin, can you share principles of placemaking for our listeners? Ways to foster the community, social integration, what's required? What are some of your basic principles for placemaking?
Yeah, I think of it as 4 main quadrants. To me, the 4 main quadrants are, first of all, places, of course. Places can be wide range of places, from downtowns, squares, waterfronts, parks, libraries, playgrounds, all types of places. The second one is zoning, because zoning is something that can be somewhat harmful towards placemaking, because zoning is very much about saying, it's a law that in this neighborhood you can only have residential properties, and in this part of the city you can only have commercial. For us, that's along one of the state highways, for example. And here you can only have green spaces, and here you can only have industry. There's a good part to it because it, takes away industry from residential, for example. But I think it's a very important thing to always consider when you think about placemaking. The third is health. So as we already spoke about, mental health, but also physical health, because if you go somewhere, say to a downtown, you go there because of the experience, because you're out, maybe doing window shopping, or maybe you have some cafe that you love going to there, or whatever it is. So it's about getting out, being healthy, walking around downtown or walking around your neighborhood, and also sustainability. Sustainability and the environment is a huge thing, because the more interesting places you have nearby, the more likely it is that, that connectivity is going to make you want to walk or bike there, again, for the experience of it. Mm-hmm. The fourth one is social integration. And that is, like I had mentioned, for the Woodcock Playground Park. Right now, you have a lot of residents, as I've heard from a friend, that live near the Woodcock Playground who have children, but it's not being used. So they are staying at home or in their inner circles in their homes, rather than coming out and connecting with each other and speaking to each other through, some sort of activations there. So those, to me, are the main principles that I find very important for placemaking.
Excellent. Well, we're going to take another brief commercial break. So for our listeners, stay tuned for more on placemaking, grassroots moments for change with our outstanding guests, placemaking visionary Edwin Linderkamp, communications professional specialized in digital marketing, content creation, social media coordinator at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. Stay tuned. We'll return shortly.
Dr. Jean Marie Farish is proud to announce the release of her new book, Living in the Spirit of Love, Our Natural State of Being, available now at Balboa Press. This book will help you master your life and flourish in love. You'll learn how to become a better and more evolved you. Feel good by making life-affirming choices. Deepen your feelings and expressions of love. Tune in love and sustain the change. And flourish in love and find your joy. Visit BalboaPress.com and search for Living in the Spirit of Love and enjoy Dr. Farish's new book today.
I'm Judy Satori. I'm a spiritual channel and activator of human potential. You might have heard me speaking on the Voice of America on Dr. Jean Farish's show, Love Light, because I've been speaking about the challenges that are besetting all of us right now and how we can surrender but also keep on going. I want to invite you to join my new Facebook group that is devoted to heart-centered connection and unity. Through this Facebook group, you can also join my free access question and answer session with Spirit on the first Wednesday to Thursday of every month. Just search Ascension Community on Facebook to join the group. In this session, I answer questions and transmit energy from Spirit to give you guidance and support. Because life on planet Earth ain't easy right now. And there is so much help from above, from beings of love and light, from multidimensional realities who are actually here with us, wanting to step up and support us. I welcome you to become part of our ongoing group conversation about evolutionary change and how it's affecting us as human beings and affecting our life today. Many blessings to you. You can find out more about me and my work at www.ascensionlibrary.org. Have a wonderful day.
Announcing Dr. Jean Marie Farish's new book, Love Mastery Devotion Journal, 21-day weekly prompts and affirmations. This is the companion piece to Dr. Farish's best-selling book, Living in the Spirit of Love, Our Natural State of Being. Through the new book, we invite you to cultivate a lifestyle of love through daily devotional practices over a 21-day period, following 9 ingredients in the recipe of love. Love Mastery Devotion Journal, 21-day weekly prompts and affirmations is available on Amazon.com and Balboa Press. Best-selling Authors International news honors best-selling authors around the globe. Dr. Jean Marie Farish is featured in the newly released issue of Published Magazine. To have first access to this treasured resource, go to publishedmagazine.com.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You are tuned in to Love Light with Dr. Jean Marie Farish. Feel free to connect with our program through email or check out our links on Facebook. Reach Jean at Jean72Farish@yahoo.com. That's Jean72Farish@yahoo.com. And now, back to Love Light.
Welcome back to Love Light, Living in the Spirit of Love. We are delighted to have today on our show Edwin Linderkamp, placemaking visionary communications professional specialized in digital marketing and content creation. He is also the social media coordinator at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. On our show today, Placemaking, Grassroots Moment for Change. Edwin, thank you so much for sharing your principles. Any other thoughts about placemaking that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, I think one main thought that I'd like to share is, because we've sort of touched base on this already, is who is a placemaker? And also for those who would like to do placemaking professionally, who is a placemaker? And especially in small town America cities like Salisbury, Maryland, where I live. The thing that I've started to realize is because we don't really have placemaking organizations like business improvement districts or a certain type of partnership or community-based organizations that solely focus on placemaking. I've realized that the main placemakers here are those who, as I said before, do anything they can to get involved with placemaking. So I am in the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee at the city. There are several other committees that do really great placemaking, really have great discussions on placemaking and work on certain activations and activities and projects as well. Then, of course, I think it's important to join local council meetings and to have your voice heard at city council sessions. And to hold people like the mayor accountable, I think is always very important. To hold the local administration accountable is always very important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, sorry, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and to be connected to people like the ones who I was connected with in the Salisbury Placemaking Town Showcase, especially someone like Martin Hutchinson, the pastor who just activated an entire lot and brought to life a dilapidated building to become a community center here, is also incredibly valuable.
Mm. And Edwin, how do you get the word out to people in the community? And do you get feedback from people? Do you collect research in terms of what people's thoughts are, or any feedback on the results of placemaking in communities? How do you actually get the word out to people to get involved?
That's a really good question. I think the thing that I want to say about that is that one placemaking concept, and it's a project for public spaces concept, is the power of 10. So the power of 10 says that in your city, a good city is basically one that has 10 great places. And at those 10 great places, at each one, you have 10 great activations, like things to do in those 10 places. And something that I would add to it is, like for the Woodcock Playground that I'm focused on right now, is I believe you also need 10 other people helping you out, 10 other, or say a total of 10 placemakers who are going to help you out in activating that place. Because to inform people in a place like that, essentially what it takes is you being the one that provides the information that they want to hear. You're the one that is going to knock on doors, and you're the one that's going to ask them questions like, why do you think this place isn't working currently? what and if you do want to see it working again, what is it that in your self-interest you want to see happen there? The adults might want to see something like maybe like a little field track or so around the park. The ones with children are probably going to want to see a playground. And the elderly adults might want to see a nicer view from the bench where they sit on. So it's so important to, first of all, to take all the people in account that live in a place, from the youngest to the oldest, and to get everyone involved, and to know that, it will be easier to do it together with other people than to do it by yourself.
Mhm. I love that concept of getting the community involved because, I've seen situations where only a few plan and then the people like, why did they do that? Why did they invest all this money doing that? And when we are part of the community and we have better ideas. So I love that aspect of getting people involved. And you incorporate volunteers as well, right? To serve on committees, community volunteers.
Exactly, I do. I work with a lot of the students, and also for this Retool Your School connection with the student leaders today. The original 4 places that were suggested were actually mostly suggested by one of our colleagues who's the marketing coordinator, Justice Brown, who came up with those 4 sites better, or 3 of those 4 sites, which I didn't do. But, I was there to listen and to note them down and to put them into a visual presentation. So that's, again, if you really want to work on this type of project to activate a place, just know that it's going to be much easier when you're surrounded by people and when you take their feedback serious, and then bring that feedback back out into the public and keep taking. It's a process. It's never a project. Placemaking is always a process.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. And there was a quote that you wanted to share with our listeners. Or you have a favorite quote?
Yeah, this is actually just a very recent quote. I think this would be very helpful for anyone who's interested in getting into placemaking professionally, since it's something that I have been interested in doing professionally for a while. And it's something that Nate Storing, the co-executive director of Project for Public Spaces, wrote to me, which is one insight we see again and again at our events and in our recent State of Public Space survey is that placemaking cuts across sectors, industries, disciplines, and seniority levels. Often a placemaker is a kind of entrepreneur starting their own organization, even if it's nonprofit or volunteer run, or an intrapreneur working towards change within an existing organization. Change is hard work, including lots of friction and setbacks. And that's part of why it's so valuable to have a supportive community of practice.
That's a beautiful and comprehensive excerpt. And I think it's great to keep the culture of good placemaking from generation to generation, that you pass on this wonderful legacy to the youth, and they can continue this whole legacy of placemaking.
Yeah, it really is something I think that is important to be passed on. The youth, like my son, they're the future, and I'm passing it on to him at the age of about 1.5 years old, for us for him to feel safe, for us to go out of the house from into the front yard. Rather than having to be in the backyard. And I intentionally do that, to go to the front yard, to go to the street, for him to ride his balance bike around. Mm-hmm. And it's so beautiful when you see especially some of the women who, whether they're walking or driving, when they're driving, they'll slow down their cars and they'll just look and just smile and wave. And that's like I said, that's already a form of placemaking right there. Is it's a lifestyle. It's a way of living.
And I remember one of your speakers, they were talking about bridging the community through creative arts. And I thought that was fantastic because to me, creative art supersedes any barriers, cultural barriers. People love music, they love art, song, dance. So can you talk about any ways that you bridge the gap, cultural gaps with creativity?
Yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, sure. I myself, I like I said, I was a placemaker since I was a young child, and I used to, I've loved public art for such a long time. I used to graffiti this this basically stone wall area near our house by the train station when I was about, I think, 9 years old or so. And my parents didn't like it much when I graffitied our actual house also. And it, uh, yeah, it's just a form of expression of showing that this is who you are in another way. Kind of like how people do it on banners. On like on bulletin banners when you're driving your car.
Yes.
But this is like to me more of a beautiful form of expression. Of course, it can be a little bit. It depends on the type of public art. But I think it just it enlightens places a little bit. It makes places like a nicer experience to be in. And something one more person that I think really needs to be where there's a quote that we have a quote from is David Engwished, who is the director of Creative Communities International in Australia, but who works very internationally. And it's about downtowns in this context, but I think it can be used for any context, which is that what attracts people to a shopping street and spending lots of money there is not the amount of parking or the quality of the paving. It's the experience they have while in the space. And I think the word experience is just so important to keep in mind, that when you're creating a new built environment, a new space, always keep in mind that that the community-led feedback of that is always going to be the most valuable thing that you have before that place goes up. Because if you put it up without much of that feedback, it might just be tomorrow's problem. Anything that is there that people love just for the experience, be it the trees aligned in a suburb where people like walking. Again, be it that shopping experience in downtown where you have shop after shop and restaurant after restaurant and outdoor seating. Be it the Ben's Red Swings playground where people just keep coming back and coming back with their children because they want to see there, because they see other people and people attract other people. Be it indoor placemaking, where in Germany, some of the schools, the elementary schools in the winter, they essentially provide a free gymnasium to children for them to play around in there in the winters because it's just too cold to be outside on certain days.
Okay.
It's all about the experience that you're offering to people in placemaking.
Well, Edwin, thank you so much. Can you, before we close out, tell our listeners how to get in touch with you to learn more?
Yeah, please do feel free to reach out to me on my LinkedIn. You'll find me there under Edwin Linderkamp. And another good place is my email address, edwinlinderkamp@gmail.com.
Well, Edwin, thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here today on this much needed topic, showing us the way to foster community stability, social integration, and really the concept of placemaking as a lifestyle. And we invite listeners to share our show with others and connect with you to learn more. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much, Jean.
Okay. So thanks to all of our listeners. We really appreciate you tuning in. And again, connect with Edwin to learn more about placemaking. He is truly an excellent placemaking visionary. This is Dr. Jean Marie, your Love Light host, coming to you to share more inspirational and empowering topics to expand our knowledge and really connect us to ourselves and our communities. And until we meet again, remember, an empowered self is a loving self, and keep your love light shining. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you for listening to Love Light this week. Be sure to join Dr. Jean Marie Farish again for another program next Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and noon Eastern Time on the Voice America Empowerment Channel. Have a wonderful week filled with love, self-worth, and better connections.